We're gonna treat this like an interview.
Yeah, that's cool.
What's up, bro? How you doing? What's up, bro? How you feeling? I ask everybody the same question. How you feeling?
Uh, Doing amazing. It's nice to get a little bit of some sleep, even though we're troubleshooting some issues on the back end, as you know, but
Talk to
it's
me.
cool.
Talk to me. Talk to me about that.
Well, I mean, it's no secret that the event didn't go exactly how we had planned. Um, we did as much as we possibly could to get prepared for what was going to happen. And just for like, clarity on the situation at the time, we didn't know what was going wrong. We're calling, the people that are hosting us and the people that are our support to make sure that this is going to go really smoothly. So essentially, the platform that we're using is basically an interface that customizes things that basically empowers creators to find a way to monetize their audience. So you have, YouTube is really just a tool to grow an audience, and then it's your job to kind of figure out how do I monetize this and turn this into a successful business. And the platform that we're using was there to help us with that. And we did exactly that. But however, on the day of the stream, their entire infrastructure collapsed. It wasn't because too many people were coming to the website. It
That's what I thought it
wasn't because
was.
that's what I thought it was too. At first, I'm like, damn, like if that's the case, how do we recover from that and how do we move forward? But we were able to figure out that there was a lot of technical things that were going on, a lot of features that were put on our stream because they knew, a lot of people were going to come here, a lot of people were going to try to illegally stream it and all these things, and they like super geared us up with a ton of stuff, and it ended up completely backfiring at that time. And we got into our stream, we were like 7 minutes in, and I think we got our first crash with Zay and Tay. Crash, boom, we're on the calls with them, we're trying to figure out what's going on, and they're like, yep, look, we're going to switch your stream provider, or you're going to go to this company. They switched our stream provider, we went again, boom, crashed within like five, not even 5 minutes, it was like 2 minutes. They called the third one, same thing had happened, crashed. So as we're there, you were at the event. We sat there for like almost a good hour trying to figure out what to do, and I felt bad for Zay and Tay. But as that hour started to creep up, I mean, we were outside the gym, and we even had John Bellion come outside, and he was like, "Look, you guys got to make right by your fans, and this is something we wanted to do as well. It was like, you guys got to make right by your fans. If that means jeopardizing the entire at the time $313,000 in sales, if that means completely losing out on every single dollar, you have to do what's right with the fans." And we completely agreed with them. So without a single hesitation at that moment, we call our hosting company, and we're like, "Look, we can't wait anymore. This damage is becoming irreparable. We are completely capable of doing a stream," which everybody saw as soon as we moved to YouTube that
It
we
was
could do that.
seamless.
Yep, it
Stream
was
on
seamless.
YouTube was
So
seamless.
yeah, we have the expertise. We hired the right people in order to be in those positions to deliver it. So we moved it to YouTube, and what sucks is like I think it was like midway through the second game, they diagnosed what the issue was, fixed it, and it worked seamlessly. So we could have reverted back to our website and delivered the rest of the games. But in the moment of crisis, in the moment of everything that's going on, we just focused and we're like, we're already on YouTube. Maybe this is a blessing. Maybe this is our way of showing all of the people that didn't want to support this event that this is an amazing event, and the next time that we do it, they should support it. So, for all the fans that supported it, we've made the refund optional, and we're offering it to everybody who would want one. But at the end of the day, we did deliver that product, and it was every single person that purchased a ticket that made that possible. So I thank each and every one of you that bought it. And again, no questions asked if you want a refund. We'll deliver that for you. But uh, yeah, I'm kind of speechless on that. I mean, like that obviously that's not how we wanted it to go. And going into the next one, we are completely prepared. I mean, we've been phone call after phone call with the same company that we used. They're fully accountable. They're taking 100% of the
So what
responsibility.
they doing?
They are, well, I can't handle all of the, or I can't say all of the details because, you know, these are confidential things. And I do want to, you know, our plan is to go back, you know, our plan is to go back. They assess what the issue was. This is the second time in 10 years that this ever has happened. And they literally hosted the Grammys the next night. So it's like they did the Grammys the next night. Their entire website, every client that they had, it completely crashed out the day before. So we affected a lot more than just the next chapter. Every single client on their website couldn't use it. Um, so,
Let me
you
ask you
know,
this question. Let
like,
me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. I've seen
yeah.
a lot of comments of people saying, "Keep my. I don't even need it."
Mm,
I've also seen very few comments of, "I need my refund." Have people
yeah.
been going to the website and actually getting their refund?
Um,
Or you can't tell
that
that?
That I don't actually know.
Yeah.
All that's gonna end up happening is they're going to request because the refunds are out of our control. All that I know is they're gonna go to the website, request the refund, and in the back end, we're gonna see that they want their money back, and we're gonna give them their money back. But it's out of our control. Like the process of getting a refund, you know, we're a lot of the pressure is coming back on us, and I'm not trying to displace the blame, but the truth of the matter is we did every single thing right. We
Well,
did every single thing right.
listen. I'm putting it like this. You gonna be political? I don't have to be political. Everything was good on our end. When we was ready to stream, you want to know why everything was good? Because once we went to YouTube, everything was perfect. From the
Hmm.
commercials to the games to the commentary, it was seamless. That's how I know it was no issues on our end. It was just an issue with them,
Yeah,
point blank. So I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
And you know, like I'm gonna be super, super honest because I know what this means to our business. One, not only the irreparable damage of the people that are considering not purchasing the next one, and like the only way that this continues to go on is it has to have a price ticket in front of it. Because what's nasty is we moved this to YouTube and we did almost 500,000 views now, and the video has made $5,000 on YouTube. Like that is nasty. So people that are saying bring it to YouTube for free, this content's for free. Well, this cost us that day in particular, from paying the players, the equipment, and everything. It cost $200,000 to put everything together. So our bank account, like we zeroed out. We put every single dollar that we had into it. We were so confident. Like that's how we do every season, by the way. Every time that we look at it, all of the money goes into it and we make it back. All the money goes into it. We make it back and we continue to grow because we know that, you know, we're not trying to be here for a year or two. We're trying to be here for decades. We want to keep delivering this content, but again, just to talk to the people, I know, you know, everybody's hard-earned money went into this, but I definitely still want to say, like, I appreciate those of you who did contribute to this because it would have never been possible. And I hope that you can see that we did provide value. We still delivered everything that you signed up for. And I understand that if your reason for purchasing the pay-per-view was because you wanted to see something that nobody else could have access to, then I completely understand the aspect of the refund. And even even if you feel we didn't deliver the value for whatever reason, it's fine. You know, we'll refund it and we're fully responsible, and that's what you have to do.
So for TNC2, we're gonna be using the same streaming provider.
We will. Yeah. I mean, they walked us through what went wrong that day, and they have, first off, they're going to be on set the next time.
What do you mean
They're
by
going to
that?
be on, meaning like their team from their CEO to whoever needs to be there will be on set. You know that we were just there by ourselves. We still executed everything correctly,
Oh, I get what you're saying.
but they're giving us every resource that they possibly have. And to be honest, they are number one. They are the number one video interface. They do the Grammys, they do Epic Games. They are the number one provider, and that's why it was so expensive to put this event on as well. They came with a big fee. But we have negotiated and we've talked stuff through, and they took full 100% accountability and are making right by the situation. So we fully respect that. And you know, there's a lot to build off of this. And at the end of the day, I think this was a massive success because the 16,000 at the time of purchasing it, which sucks because we only got 7 minutes into the first game. if this continued to propel in the direction that it did, I mean, our social media was blowing up that day. We
You don't
had
know
that
who was
Cam
pulling
video,
up.
Cam and Mike video. We don't know. We could have got to 50,000 in sales, and that's $1 million in a night. And that $1 million in one night means the next season's going to be a banger. We're going to this city. We're putting on a showcase. We're letting people try out. We're hosting tournaments. There were so many things we were going to do with that money to expand this community. And
That's
we
one thing
never
I
got,
do want to say. People think
yeah,
like that huge revenue from one night is just gonna go in everybody's pockets. No, that's gonna be invested right back into like the community. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Matter of
Like,
fact, yeah, between this right now, currently, I mean, where we're at in sales, it was still a loss. And that's we've always kind of operated in like we find small ways eventually to make a little bit of some money back, but everything is just a break even. We don't live well above our means, you know. Leading into the pay-per-view, everybody was planning financially on our end to make sure that like, hey, if this doesn't hit what we needed to hit, we got to be willing to struggle in our life, and we made the appropriate adjustments. But
talk to me about the event as a whole in terms of it going to YouTube. And to me, bro, I understand everything that happened with the streaming provider, but I think we delivered a product in terms of okay, we saw how seamless it was on YouTube. I'm putting up for this TNC too.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
well, yeah, I think that, dude, we delivered history, right? Like
Yeah.
we genuinely did. We delivered. It's not the first one-on-one event to come to YouTube or to come to an online thing. But from a viewership perspective, like I want to share this. So we have been breaking down some of the analytics and some of the ratings, and across the world, or across every single NBA team in the entire culmination of the NBA, there's only one team in the league that averages more viewership locally than the amount of views that we delivered in TNC01, and that's the Golden State Warriors.
So you
We
mean to
look
tell
deep.
me? So you mean to tell me the only team that averages more views than the 53,000 peak is the Golden State
Not the
Warriors?
53,000 peak. It's by the end of the game because they don't even show you what the average peak concurrent viewership is in the NBA. TV ratings are public. You can look it up. You look up the Golden State Warriors, what they average in viewership. They have a 7% TV rating, which means that 7% of the households in their area that receive their channel watch them. And that's a total of 250,000 people on a daily basis. And the second in the league is the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they get about 120,000. By the end of our stream, we were at 158,000. So we were 8,000 above the second highest. So, like our constant thing of saying like it's not of like we're going to compete with the NBA, and like it's not necessarily that. It's just like in the beginning, yeah, we said that a lot, but it's more so we're trying to provide a different basketball avenue, and we just showed proof of concept. TNC01 was of that magnitude, and hopefully people see that.
Talk to me about. I don't want to obviously reveal what we talked about in text. I want to talk about the Nas and Briscoe and the magnitude of it once it's on TNC2 if it's booked.
Well, what's really cool is Nas kind of played the villain role in the first one, and I think this is the first time we're going to see Nas as a hero.
Yeah.
He's gonna stand with the entire YouTube community, and this is a lot of pressure on Briscoe. And hopefully Briscoe accepts this game because there's good money to be made over here, and playing Nas is a perfect way for you to make a huge statement in this space. Like TNC, and especially these TNC01s and O2s and O3s, this will be the place to make the most amount of money on a per game basis. And I hope that people start becoming aware of that. And that's not to like come to us and be like, oh, I need this big of a paycheck. Like, no, we're going to offer you the best that we can. And we're going to try to work with you however, but um, the magnitude is going to be massive because Nas is going to represent for the YouTube hooper,
Everybody.
even though he's a Division 1 hooper. He played pro overseas. Um, but Isaiah Briscoe touched the league. That's a different level of respect. That's a different level of just resume that you just have to respect. So if you have a YouTube guy stepping in and playing this one-on-one and he wins, yeah, that's huge because I bet you Isaiah Briscoe will not be the last NBA player that wants to step out and play Nas.
He won't be.
So,
This is gonna get started.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think there's storylines. There's still a whole bunch of storylines within the community that has to get done. but I really am excited to see an actual storyline that is outside of the community that consists of a community guy. I think Nas and Briscoe make perfect sense right now. Perfect. Big
Yeah.
three. You see, here's my thing. I watched the whole live and I was like, okay, I feel like Briscoe is trying a little boring or a little brewing. But in my mind, I'm like, I know you went to the league. I know you touched overseas, but both y'all have accolades in the big three. And last time I checked, Nas was in the championship. You wasn't. I know you got a championship in the big three, but this past year, Nas was in the championship. It makes perfect sense, Scotty. And the bag is
Yeah.
going to be there. Like, he needs to understand the magnitude of it. But talk to me about, I know you seen Scoob call out Kel. Let's talk to me like Kel's return, if that's that game.
Well, first off, Kel looks phenomenal right now. I
Yeah.
know you saw him. He won several of their King of the Courts. Of course, King of the Court is different, but it's just the way he was moving, the shots he was hitting. I think in a lot of instances, watching King of the Court, it's nowhere near to the physicality that you're going to get in a one-on-one during one of these pay-per-view events. But Kel plays through that though. Like Kel can uphold how physical that's going to be. And I think that with him and Scoob playing each other, first off, there's a deep history there, but I'm gonna just call a spade of their game two. The game two ended in a way that is very, very, very controversial. Kel had a completely wide open shot that he should have never got in that situation, but their beef was so deep that of course he's not going to give it back. And there's also 2,500 on the line, so it's like, when in that moment, like that's a
I'm
lot of
letting it
money.
fly.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm letting it fly. So, this gives them, and again, we reset records, so this gives them an opportunity. They're technically, while Kel's 2-0 against him, he's 0-0 under the book of what we're working towards. Um, I think that their game is deeper than even the Nas and Frigo one and the Rob and Scoob one. Like that, it's deeper than the Mike and Cam one.
It
Like
is.
there's real rage towards each other. Like that game. I mean, I hope it finishes, and I see it finishing. But it's like
No, it's gonna
it's
finish. It's gonna finish. It's gonna
for
finish.
real.
In that setting, it's gonna finish.
Yeah, it's for real smoke.
Um, is there because a lot of the fans want to see Rob and Zay.
Yeah.
Is there some type of redemption arc for Rob on a TNC pay per view instead of a season?
Um, that's to definitely be figured out right now because there's only so many games we can deliver on the pay-per-view card, right? And I think right now Nas earned it. Nas earned it. He has to be on the next pay-per-view card. Um, and Uncle Scoob earned it. I think he's got to be on the next pay-per-view card. As for Rob, he falls in the Rob, Mike, and Nesco. All three of them lost their game. So what necessarily is a reason for just pushing them into that without having to, kind of come back and earn that situation? We can't make it too convenient. Of course, Rob is one of the best guys in this space, and that loss, like you said, it doesn't really change things. Um, but even Zay won his game. I don't know if it necessarily makes a case to come back into the next one. Cam won his game. I don't know if it necessarily makes sense to come back into the next one and just skip over things. Same thing with Moon. So there's a lot of things that we got to figure out and see what the community wants, because at the end of the day, what's going to sell tickets is what the fans want. And we're trying to pay attention to the best that we can, and see where everybody sits at.
What do you think they are? So what do you think they need to do in order to solidify themselves for a second one, like a Cam who won his matchup in really good fashion?
Uh, Cam's got to find an opponent. I don't think that there's like a present one right now that I just feel like Cam and Mike just made a lot of sense, but I don't know anybody else right now at this exact moment who makes sense for Cam.
Mm-hmm.
The only other one was possibly Nesco. If Nesco won that game, it'd be like a run back. But like Cam and Moon are boys, so it's like not really something I'm too interested in seeing them match up at.
Well, how do you feel about Latin? You think that's it? Hold up, they said, oh
Um,
man, that's a disrespectful shit with you. I'm not reading that. Well, how you think about Latin? Or that's like too much of a easygoing game?
that's that's actually no. What do you mean by easygoing?
Friends or not? Like
I don't
no
think
no storyline.
Okay, no, but remember they played that 2-on-2 and
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
kind of got it.
I just said that. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So I think that there's a little bit of something to build off of from there. Um, I would love to. I don't know if I feel like Latin just kind of jumps his way into the next pay-per-view. I don't know. It's a lot to think about on that. But Cam versus Latin seems like a good game to me.
Yeah.
Uh, I like that a lot. They're both really quick. Latin's a little bit stronger, a lot better of a shooter from three. Um, and he checks up and he brings a lot of energy. That actually might be good because I think Latin could really match Cam's energy,
Yeah.
and he would keep it basketball. You
One thing,
know.
but that's the thing too. Like, I think
God
Latin.
damn. Reek, by the way, Reek.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
time I,
He's like,
holy shit.
hey,
You know,
go ahead.
Reek asked for a refund.
He was
I'm
trolling.
playing.
Yeah, he
There's
was
no
just
way.
no way. It's no way. It's no way.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rick though for the super. I do want to say this though. To me, it makes perfect sense because one, the 2v2, two, the 85-point game. I think he is the most sought after guy probably by the fans.
Yeah.
Like I hear
Yeah.
Lad's name in the pay per view.
You know what he kind of reminds me of in a sense. Remember like Linsanity?
Yes, like that
That's what
moment.
That's what it kind of reminds me of like he just like had a phenomenal outing for like 4 straight games and everybody's just going nuts over him. And maybe it is truly who he is, but he's still, like we're still yet to find out. And I think that's the curiosity of why fans want to see him so bad too. Because they're realistic. Like scoring 85 is fucking nuts. If he can do it again, then all right, shit.
Let me tell you something, bro. The way Cam looked in that 1v1 against Mike, he really showed some things. I think Latin is. I get both of them to pop it. All I gotta do is say the word. I get both of them. I get both of them to say some shit now. I'll
Yeah.
listen. You know what I'm saying? But I don't. Lat Sanity merch. Millie said Lat Sanity merch.
Yeah.
But bro, I think with the potential of the next pay per view, I think it breaks the internet regardless of the paywall. I really do. With the potential of it, what you told me, and with the Briscoe Nas, I think it has potential to break the internet even with the paywall, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really believe that the majority of people will still stand with TNC as we still work towards using tncleague.com. Because I think that our cards showed in this opportunity of like when it did hit the fan, we reacted level-headed and we stopped everything. We didn't continue to play the games. They missed out on nothing. We ended up bringing it to YouTube and we delivered it there. Of course, it did not go as planned. But again, we were willing to sacrifice everything because we wanted to deliver the product and we delivered the product. And everybody enjoyed it. And the video is almost at 500,000 views. But again, for anybody that had missed it, we've been working with our provider and we've broken down exactly what went wrong,
Yep.
and they flawlessly did the Grammys the following night. And I do think that, we were a little bit underestimated. We were a little underestimated of what our community was going to bring. And they have reinforced that that would never, ever happen again. So um, hopefully the fans still trust us and want to bring it to it because without there without there being this paywall, we cannot deliver these games.
Facts.
We cannot put events
Facts.
on this magnitude.
Facts. Somebody, first of all, Super Chat got some more questions to ask you though before you get out of here. It says, "Is Caleb ever coming back?" Which I think he is.
Yeah, for sure.
I do want to ask you, what's next?
Well, we got San Francisco.
Yeah.
We're going out there. I think it's next Thursday now, which is insane. I haven't even like put any thought into this event. We have 8 days to go to another city across the entire country and go put on a banger event, which we'll do. Um, we got to go out there and then we're going to film the next season. And I think the next season is going to follow a very similar rematch concept. I think what's more important right now is kind of not saturating the community too much as we're figuring out this pay-per-view model. because there's a lot of matchups that people are going to want to see. And we don't want to just deliver too much in our seasons where it's like we don't even know that that could be a really good matchup in the future. So we kind of want to, because it's also like if the fans feel like, oh, they're going to take away all these good matchups from us, it's not about that. It's about making sure that your favorite player has some longevity in this space and making sure that they don't burn themselves out too quick by trying to go around and just play everybody, because we've seen it happen. And I genuinely believe that we have the best interest of this community in mind. And if people can just be patient about it, we got you, I promise.
Yeah.
And the success of these pay-per-views are going to help us bring even more people into this community and help it grow. But yeah, I love the rematch concepts. I felt like I felt like that was just really cool to see the storyline of like how somebody's going to bounce back. I was very excited when I saw one person lose and then one person win the next day. Like that was just cool to see the bounce back. Um, but yeah, what's next is probably San Francisco, our next season, and maybe followed up by TNC02, because I think the fans just now got a taste of what a live event is like, and the experience is completely different. Being there is completely different, but I think that they got to get a taste of it online now.
But bro,
And I think,
that's why I think it's a blessing that I know that what happened happened.
yeah,
But if everything works out how it's supposed to work out, and this breaks like 1 million views, 1 million+ views, and you say you're doing TNC2, there's going to be a lot of people getting that pay-per-view event, bro.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
based
I
off
mean,
seeing the first one.
you know, the this is truly what we hoped happened. We had hoped that TNC01 was so successful, we could publicly share players made this amount of money. And this amount of money, the word spread around, and the right people, NBA guys and just huge, high profile guys saw it. And they would want to reach out to us and they'd want to say, hey, I believe in what this YouTube basketball space is now. I want to step into this, which is good for the community because it's going to help it grow. The better the comp, the better the fans are going to be satisfied, and the more competitive it's going to be. And we wanted that, and we also needed some extra success from that, which we ended up not being able to even get to because we didn't even get to the second game, the third game, fourth game, fifth game, and the sales were going up insane. We did like, dude, we did like 50, close to $60,000 in sales the hour before we went live, which is fucking nuts. And it was probably going to go even crazier once we started posting that shit was going on, and nobody wanted to miss it. But we're really working towards building our own gym. That is the secret formula to this entire thing right now, because every city we go to, we got to rent a gym. They see what we do online. They say, I'm not letting you in our building. Can't do an event. Even the gym that we're using right now, we got to spend hours setting up. We got to communicate with the school. We got to do so many in between things. If we had our own facility, we can do seasons, tournaments. We can do online training. We can do showcases. We can do pay-per-views. Really working towards our own facility. We've been doing it for 2 years now. I've been doing it honestly for the last like 4 years in the space because I tried to do this previously with, the other company I worked with. And that's the secret formula. And as soon as we can get to this gym, every single fan will be in awe how much content's going to come out and how satisfied that they're going to be.
Yeah.
Um, so that was the goal. We were hoping that TNC01 would help us get there. It ended up getting us not a single step closer. But hopefully by TNC02, we can start to get the ball rolling.
I want to ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
Can ABC Crew get the Professor Pod?
Yeah, honestly, I have it on my computer. There's still some stuff that I got to work on that. Um, but when you say ABC Crew get the Professor Pod, what exactly do you mean? You guys, is it what we talked about?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Put him on the spot,
look,
chat.
look, if you guys are real serious about it, we stand behind you.
Say that one more time.
I said if you guys are real serious about it, we stand behind you and we want you to explore how big the ABC Crew can be, and we're backing you guys as much as possible. So I would be fully open to it and okay with that. if that's what you guys want to do.
Hell yeah, squats. Hell yeah, we serious.
Okay.
When we
A
ain't
lot,
been serious, Scotty.
a lot of people be taught, you know. I want to make sure
When
you guys.
we ain't been serious. You let me know. You educate me, please.
We didn't do a few post game shows season 10.
You talking about damn near 7 months ago, and we did all
I
these
know.
damn interviews. Come
Yeah.
on,
No,
man.
no. I know.
I've been pumping out interviews for the last 2 weeks. Come on,
You
dog.
have.
Talk to me nice, man. And you look tired as hell. Look like you drunk.
Well, I've been you know, uh I was sick before the pay-per-view, recovered a little bit, and then lost my voice and just felt like just no sleep at all. And then the night when shit went wrong and we did the stream, like I drove home that night. So I didn't get home until like 5 a.m. and I couldn't even sleep. So uh yeah, I've been pretty gassed, but I love the opportunity to hop on here and talk with your fans
I want
and
I want to ask you this.
go.
On a scale of 1 to 10, outside of the things you could have controlled that night, how do
Mhm.
you think the event went?
Literally as good as possible. Like, dude, like I said, we just outperformed every single NBA team except the Golden State Warriors in viewership on a local television broadcast.
Yeah.
Um, we did that. It was probably, I mean, I was there for when we did the East versus West, you know, Ball is Life game. We had 7,500 people tune into that. Of course, it was behind a paywall at the time, and the Balls Life East Coast squad was much bigger at the time than what TNC is because we were doing 1.5 million views every time that we went to a park. But just kind of seeing the magnitude of what it is, I think that this was easily the biggest YouTube basketball event of all time. I think it was easily, and it was just our first one. And you know what's even crazier about it? When we made the decision to go to YouTube, we didn't even title the video. We didn't even put a thumbnail up on it. It literally said like next chapter stream, and it was just like a constantly updating still shot of the gameplay because we didn't have a thumbnail, so YouTube was trying to generate one. I think if we had posted that this was going to be on YouTube and it had a big thumbnail all day long, I think we would have delivered probably double the viewership, and at that point we would have outperformed every single NBA team
Yeah.
on an average. So I think this was a humongous success, a great win for the community. And I'm really not upset. Again, the next chapter is literally revolved around like bouncing back and seeing something got handed to me. What's my next chapter? Like, what's the next step in my story? And I think that this was just another step in our story. You know, this was probably a blessing in all honesty, because a lot of people were skeptical, and I don't know exactly what reasonings that they were skeptical on. Of course, if the reason was, oh, they can't handle it and it's going to crash, blah blah blah, well, you were right about that. It ended up doing that, but it wasn't a matter of us not being able to handle it. It happened with the provider. So uh I think we proved a lot of people wrong too. Streaming is not easy. When I was out there, I had my headset on and I'm hearing camera A, get ready. Camera B, get ready. Camera B, you're hot. Camera B, you're on game. Camera 3, we're going here. Hot on booth. Like just nonstop stuff. Like it was an intense experience. But you know, it was cool as shit. And I'm excited to do the next one.
All right, so I got a super chat that says, "Are we going to see 2v2 and 3v3s on future TNC pay-per-view?" I'm probably gonna say no.
Uh yeah, not probably anytime soon. I feel like the only thing that I can think of is there's gonna have to be there's gonna have to be like a really hard beef between like two dudes and another two dudes, and they just like have to check up. I don't know. It's probably very unlikely. Um, and it's also gonna be filmed much differently. The way that we had to film at the event was way different than we film in our seasons. It's so fast paced, and like we were almost getting in the way at times, and I couldn't imagine doing a 2-on-2 if that's how it is. So
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. I'd be very biased if I didn't ask you this question. Where does Frigga go from here?
I think that are you talking about like where does he move rankings, or what's his next play?
What's his next game? What's his next play?
I think that I think that he he independently has to take an approach at this, not an approach as an owner of TNC. I think that he needs to. I think he's got a video coming out on his YouTube pretty soon, but I think that everybody's going to take a loss here and there. Um, he it's hard. I've had this conversation with him. We've talked like, all right, like what kind of is next? And it's not that clear. It's not necessarily that he lost. It is how he lost in that game. Um, but if I know anything about Devontae, there's a reason I brought him on to do this with me. I'm kind of speechless on it. Like I don't know the answer for him. He's been with family after the event. His brother had a fight the next day. He's been with that, and his family's down here. They went to Disney. They did a bunch of stuff. But I did feel the one thing that I will say unbiasedly, I don't want you. This is not. I hate that I'm going to say this because it might come off as an excuse to the game, and it has no impact. I don't think it has an impact on what happened necessarily. The game could have still been 37, but I definitely felt really bad for him losing the way he lost and knowing that our stream crashed. Like mentally, I know that night was probably one of the hardest nights of his life. Despite the success that we had, it's just like, he's in the broadcast booth with us. He's outside making the phone calls. He knows that he needs to pay everybody that's a part of this event. And we had to make a game time decision that at the time we didn't know if we're going to even have the money to do it. So it was like a huge, huge, huge freak out, sick, ready to throw up feeling from everybody across the board. So I felt bad to see him lose the way he lost and knowing that we got to go back to the hotel and have a conversation now about what the fuck we're going to do after you just lost like that. So,
to be honest with you, bro, I think he just plays in San Francisco. I think you just get over it as quick as possible. It's a game. I'm gonna be real, like just you're Devontae Frigga, bro.
Yeah, but then the play is, you go to San Francisco, you play a game, you win a game. Are they going to say that the person you played is a scrub and now you're playing scrubs and blah 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 blah, or do you say you lose that game and now it's completely amplified? It's like, in this space, it's hard to survive out there. It's a cruel world. So there's Devontae being as big of a creator as he is. There's a lot of planning that goes into what's next.
Well, you got to see somebody, Scotty, if he wants to continue to play. I think either a Burke series,
Yeah,
or Isote series, because I don't really see either of those two series being on a pay per view.
yeah. You know what I looked at? Um, the level of physicality was definitely different for pay-per-view, which we expected. It was way different for pay-per-view than it is in a season. And we've definitely put in some thought to some stuff about kind of some situations, and it's not to change anything that had happened that night at all, but it's hard for me to look at certain things and not want to make improvements and listen to some of what the things the community is saying. But how did you feel, in complete honesty? How was the event from setup, officiating, outcome? Is it everything you expected it was going to be, or did something go off just a little?
Scott, I'm gonna tell you this: I don't expect for $5,000 or $10,000 for there not to be physicality.
And in your opinion, how should what's too much and what's not too much?
Two
Because
hands.
okay, is that at any point in the play?
What do you mean? Oh, you're talking about the two? Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I think a good bit of the time it was called. I
Yeah.
think a good bit of the time it was called.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
And also what I will say is that people were offered an opportunity to match the physicality. So just because someone's doing it to you doesn't mean you couldn't do it back if you felt like it was past the not past basketball, but past the clean basketball realm.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I was
go ahead.
I kept thinking a lot about like the NBA. in the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s, it's like, because it's hard not to hear what people are saying. Like, it's very loud. And you listen to, or sorry, you see like, the NBA is too soft now, and I miss it when it was like the 90s and the early 2000s. But during the 90s and the early 2000s, they started to complain about how physical it was, and then they
Exactly.
moved, and now they want to come back to it. And it's like, it drives you insane when you start to think about like, what is the perfect formula? Because there's no perfect formula, because at the end of the day, it's going to come from the person, it's going to come from the fans that wanted the person that lost. They wanted him to win, so they're going to just be loud about it. And I know, like, Rob has a humongous fan base, especially on Next Chapter. So when he lost that game against Scoob, their presence was extremely loud. And to be honest, like, I'm reading it, and it's like, I'm thinking about it. But the more and more that I think about the situation, it's like, as we continue to go on, we will do our best to get as close to perfecting the situation, but not everybody's going to be happy. And I think as long as both parties can do the same things, that's kind of all you can ask for.
I talked to Rob on the phone and he called me. I told him the same things I'm telling you. I told Rob, it's probably a different outcome or much closer game if you just match him. You have the foot speed, you have the strength, you have the durability for the entirety of the game to do the same thing that Uncle Scoob was doing to you, especially because Uncle Scoob is a shooter. He's not a great finisher. He's a shooter. If you up on him the same way he's up on you, it's gonna be a long game, and we're gonna see who has the durability to win it. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't egregious. It wasn't egregious on either side. It wasn't
Yeah.
egregious at all. To be honest, Scotty. And to be honest, another thing I do want to say is regular season basketball, which is a TNC season, is refed differently than playoff basketball, which is the NBA
Yeah.
Finals, which was February 1st.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that.
Because it's more money on the line. $1,500 per game compared to 5K, 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 10K. It's the best of the
Yeah.
best on the platform at the time. Y'all should be able
I
to,
mean,
y'all
I
should be able to adapt.
think Nas really displayed, the more and more that I watched the way that he played, it's his ability to just counter everything. And in order to get to the status that Nas is on right now, you got to be able to counter. You can't you can't just kind of be a two-dimensional player. I'm a shooter. I'm going to shoot this three, or I'm going to drive to the basket. You have to have, you got to have at least three dimensions to your game. You got to be able to just drive and pull up midi. You have to at least have that. Um, so I think,
That's
we're going to see it. People need to start practicing that and working on that.
that's why Isaiah Briscoe is the perfect matchup. Because I promise you, he will have a counter for your counter. He will have a counter for your counter. Talk to me about Lamar Peters real quick. I'm gonna get you up out of here. I heard Lamar Peters is interested.
Yeah, I mean, we've just been in contact. He reached out to me. He wanted to get on this. He wanted to get on this pay-per-view, to be honest. This last one that he did, that was how he reached out to me and wanted to see if he can get involved. But I was honest about the situation of, like, as amazing as he is, he's known as the greatest of all time, like, for ball handling in the G League. Like, the moves that he makes, like his YouTube video is saying, like, is this the best handles ever in the G League? Like, that's what he's known for. His bag is ridiculous. But now our fans need to find out about you first before you come into the pinnacle moment and onto the big stage. Even though you have every single skill set and resume to be on the big stage, our community's got to know you. It's gotta be a, hi, my name is Lamar Peters, and blah, 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 blah. Like, we do got to get you there. And I think that if Lamar's confident, which he should be, pop out for a season and you'll be practically a no-brainer. Let the fans speak for it and vote you in.
Any last words, Scotty, man, before we get you up out of here, brother? Because I'm about to get off stream too, just like you about to get off this call.
TNC02, it's in the works. You guys have been seeing some matchups that are up for discussion. TNC01 was a massive, 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 massive success. Despite the small little hiccup that we had, we still brought the product to you guys. We showed you exactly what we're capable of. Not everything that's going to be launched off the ground is going to be perfect. I mean, we look at some of our seasons, sometimes audio goes wrong. Sometimes we're missing a camera angle. Something happens in some point of any situation. It's always about just how you respond to it, and we're fully prepared for what TNC02 is going to be. And I thank every single person that was a part of this historic moment, and I hope you realized your contribution is the only reason this event had happened. And yeah, I mean, this is going to be a crazy year. 2025 is, by the end of 2025, we will be respected and seen as the biggest basketball league in the world.
Scotty Weaver, Reek is bugging. You was in the middle of your soliloquy. Reek just donated again. Shout out Reek for the super again. We got Scotty Weaver in the building, man. I gotta get off stream, Scotty. Just
Appreciate you guys.
Just text on FaceTime if you got something to say, man. I'll holler at you, brother.
All right, peace.